pancreatic cancer. Oops, sorry about that. Before I went to med school, I'm just gonna hit this here too. And so I went to med school. I specialized in emergency medicine afterwards in residency, and I worked at a level 1 trauma center, which is kind of like the Knife and Gun Club. It's really high end trauma, and that was that's really great when you're in your 30s and maybe into your early 40s. But then when you start having children and life gets busy, it gets to be kind of old. So I lasted maybe 10 years at it and burned out completely. Unfortunately, I had gone through a divorce, so I had decided and had gotten really in bad shape. So I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and started taking up triathlons as a way to kind of get back into shape, because I was a swimmer my whole life. And so in Atlanta, I joined a triathlon community, and in that community was another person who I'm now married to, who we were dating at the time, and she had gone through divorce as well. And so I had been doing triathlons on and off, and she approached me with these powdered produce, fruits and veggies and berries and capsules, which of course I was very skeptical. I didn't think anything about it. But it made sense to me. And I told people, I took them really because I wanted to date her. And she insisted that if I date her, I had to take these, whatever they were. I didn't know what they were. It was juice something, right? But I was bound and determined to date her. Of course, the story is now we're married. But no, that's how I got introduced, is really from my wife, who had been on Juice Plus for years. And again, I'd never heard of it, but that's kind of how I was introduced to it, through my girlfriend and now wife.
I love that so much. I think it's just so powerful to hear, that a little bit of love, a little bit of Juice Plus can bring people together. That's for sure.
Yeah. And it's the truth too, because, we always run into skeptical people, and, especially as physicians, we're trained as healthcare providers, you guys, we're just trained to be very skeptical people. And, I was really skeptical, obviously, because number one, I hadn't heard of it. And number two, it wasn't a medication. Doctors were all programmed to believe that if you can't write it out on a script, it's not going to have any physiologic advantage in the human body. It's food. And to me, food was like, especially when I was a medical student and a resident, food to me was, donuts and candy bars and, whatever you put in there, and then you got to run off and see a patient. So I never really understood nutrition and the value of it until I really started getting into our community. And then, things just took off for me. So
That's awesome. Yeah. And I think that's so true. You just don't know what you don't know. Right. And so that's the whole point of, medical professionals, is being an educator to those that don't understand. And I am one of them. And I learn things every single day. We have several medical professionals on this call tonight that are joining us. And I think that, we can all agree that that's kind of something we've all kind of run into here and there. And our fast-paced society, grabbing what you can, eating on the go, fast food. Right. So
right.
In that. Well, I love that. Well, next, what I'd love to know is, what I love about Juice Plus is that everybody's story is very interesting and unique and different. So what have the Juice Plus products done for your health and your family's health, as well as your sports performance?
Yeah. So, kind of continuing the story. So at the time, this was 2004, I had done Ironman Florida. Was one of my first Ironman, and that's considered one of the easiest Ironman because it's in Florida and it's flat. Although that sounds like a oxymoron. It's an Ironman, but I had done that in 2004, and this is pre Juice Plus, and I was taking a boatload of vitamins because I thought, I didn't know anything about nutrition. I just thought vitamins were good. Turns out a lot of the research shows that they're not good for you, especially as an athlete. But again, Heidi, my wife, had approached me with Juice Plus a year later. So I hadn't met her before Ironman Florida, but a year after that, when I met her and I started taking Juice Plus, I was training for Ironman Hawaii. I had qualified for the World Championships. And so I started taking it, not really believing it was going to do anything for me, because I was eating a pretty heavy plant-based diet. I was probably 80% plant-based at the time. So I really didn't think anything about it. But, when you train for an Ironman, I don't know if anybody here tonight has, but, it's a full-time job. And, some 4 to 5 hours a day training. And so it wasn't right away that I started noticing things, but I usually around 2 to 3 months. When I talk to athletes, it's usually about the time frame they start noticing things. But about 2 to 3 months into taking Juice Plus, some of the things that I had really struggled with at Ironman Florida the year before weren't happening to me. I was having a lot less muscle and joint pain. I was having, I was recovering a lot quicker between my training and racing sessions, and I wasn't getting sick anymore. I used to get colds and coughs and that stuff all the time. Those just suddenly weren't happening, and it was kind of a, one of these things that, is that really real or whatever? And so it was kind of, I thought it was all in my head. And at the time, I decided to look at the research on the product because they had research, and I'm like, and I know about research because that's kind of my background. I did some research at Duke, so I know how to read research, and I thought it was just going to be kind of hokey research. But when I looked at it, and a lot of the studies were published in my sports medicine journal, I piqued my curiosity. But anyway, so I started taking Juice Plus, and all of a sudden those things that were happening to me, all the less muscle, joint pain, all that stuff, was actually documented in the science, that it wasn't just me, it was a bunch of other people. So I kind of knew that what Juice Plus was doing was filling in the gaps. It was filling in, I was eating a plant-based diet primarily, but I was eating all the same things all the time. And so what it did is it kind of filled in the rainbow of colors, the variety that we get on our product. And as it turned out, I had a terrific race at Ironman Hawaii. I mean, to give you an example, the easiest Ironman course in the world, which is Florida, it took me 10 hours, 4 minutes, and I think it was 12 seconds. That's the easiest course. A year later and I wasn't taking Juice Plus. A year later, when I was taking Juice Plus, I did the hardest course in the world, only 6 minutes slower. All right. I did 10, 10, 12 or something. And the only thing I did differently is I didn't change my training. I didn't change what I ate daily. I just added Juice Plus to my diet. And again, the science kind of backed up what was happening to me. So that's kind of how it evolved. As time went on, Heidi had taken me. So I had the science kind of working, but it wasn't solidified. And so we were living at the time in Atlanta. And so she told me, you need to come and hear this guy, Dr. Rick Du Bois, do a talk on Juice Plus. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. It's gonna be like a, an Amway thing or whatever. So it was in Atlanta, and you guys, this is 2005, 6, somewhere in there. And I walked in, it was the Galleria in Atlanta, if you know that, it's a kind of a big area. And I walked in, there were 600 people. 600 people who came to hear this guy, Dr. Rick Du Bois. And I didn't know who Dr. Du Bois was. Of course, now we all do, because he was one of the original physicians in our company. And so I sat there, I was amazed. And he was going off on things like oxidized LDL and telomeres and all this real high scientific stuff. And it was all about the research done on these capsules. And it just piqued my curiosity. I thought, well, that's when I started getting more into the research. And as I got more into the research, I realized that people don't know about this, and they should. Mine was a good example, but listening to the research, I felt like this is very powerful stuff, and it's about nutrition that I didn't know much about, but I dug in and really got into it. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's one of those things that for me, it became a no-brainer. And that's when I started to develop my lecture and my talks back in 06, 07. And it's just kind of taken off since then.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, I think that was something that was really important to me, was research. So, for myself and my background, I have been in the veterinary field now for 15 plus years. And what I did when I was in college is I did just that, research. So that's also what really piqued my interest, because it wasn't just one research study either. I just couldn't believe how many of the research studies, here it was on cardiac health. And for me, epigenetics is so important too. Just with my background and what has gone on with my mother's diagnosis with breast cancer. So, it's so important to really read between the lines, and a company that cares so much to put in that amount into research is just astonishing to me. And on a
we've put, the company now is over $15 million in human-based clinical trials. And you don't see that in a company. I mean, companies steal our research to try to prove their products, because there's so many copycats that are out there now. And that, we can talk about that a little bit later, but it's one of those things that, if you have good, solid science, And they did. I mean, they randomized double-blind placebo-controlled studies. That's top tier stuff. So I was impressed by that, their commitment to not only saying, hey, we've got something that's good for you, but we can actually prove it, what it will do in your body in different capacities.
Yeah, I love that. I appreciate that so much too. Absolutely. That kind of piggybacks off of also, because I was going to ask you to go into the research. So I love that you already did that, and why it's so important. But my next question for you would be, why would you recommend Juice Plus to everyone? Because it really is for everyone. And why you, as a medical professional, why would you recommend this for everyone to have in their diet every single day?
Yeah, well, like I said, doctors just don't know nutrition. I mean, it's just I think the last stat that I looked at, it was like less than 1% of 4 years of medical school education is devoted to nutrition, right? Because there's just no time for it. I mean, nutrition is for nutritionists, right? So doctors aren't the best people to ask for nutrition advice, let alone give it. But no, it's one of those things. I suddenly got into the fact that people needed this just way beyond athletes. That was just my experience with it. But people need to incorporate this in their bodies. And the reason for that is whole food nutrition is so important. The CDC came out, I don't know, I think it was a year or two ago, and they said that 90% of Americans barely get 1 to 2 servings of veggies in their diet every day. And the cornerstone of health is eating lots of fruits and veggies. We should be getting 7 to 13 servings. We're barely getting 2 to 3 servings. And that, believe it or not, that statistic that just came out a year or two ago is worse than it was 15 to 20 years ago. At the time, then it was 80%. Now it's 90% of people are deficient. So I believe that Juice Plus bridges that nutritional gap for that reason. The other reason is that, and it was a study that came out of Stanford about, now with COVID, it kind of threw a wrench in my time frame. I think it was about 6 years ago, where they found that even with good crop rotation, we're losing a lot of the nutrients in the soil that is not, translated into that fruit or veggie and then into our body. So we're kind of nutritionally, we have a nutritional deficit through the fruits and veggies that we're already eating. It doesn't contain the nutritional value that it did 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago. So in order to kind of bump that up, instead of taking vitamin supplements, which is a whole different category, you get food matter, you get plant matter, you get powders that are, ground up and from the produce that is flash frozen, and all you get is nutrition. They take the water and the fiber binds to the sugar, and all you have is just the part of the fruit or veggie that makes you healthy. So that's part of the reason why. And again, I could go into the vitamins versus food, because if you really look at it in this country, we really don't have vitamin deficiencies like they do in third world countries. We don't have, yeah, sure, we're low on vitamin D, but that's not really a vitamin. It's a corticosteroid. But, you don't see rickets or scurvy or beriberi in this country. And so we're just taking vitamin supplements. And if you look at the research on vitamin supplements, which I've done a lot of over the last 15 to 20 years, large scale studies that were started, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, looking at whether vitamin supplements would help reduce chronic disease conditions like cancer and cardiovascular disease. Well, the data from those things has started to roll in, and, it's telling us quite a different story. In many instances, vitamin supplements have no effect in human physiology. And believe it or not, in some studies like the SELECT study, they actually do more harm than good. And I didn't know that because I was taking vitamin supplements my whole life, because that's what we're taught to do as doctors. You take a multivitamin, right, to bridge the gap. No, the studies are now very, very convincing that we have a whole food deficiency in this country, not a vitamin deficiency. And that's where Juice Plus comes in, because it's whole food. It's, ground up fruits and veggies and berries and capsules. That is, in essence, what our body recognizes and utilizes to produce energy and to make us healthy. It's all there. You just have to get it inside your body.
Yeah, I agree. And that's so powerful what you were saying. There's so many of us that really are that. I know myself, for one, I was very nutritionally deficient and didn't even realize it. And my whole life, I was a very sickly child. So my whole life, I was kind of the same. I was told to take vitamins. And actually, ironically, half of the vitamins I ended up taking, and again, not to knock vitamins or supplements, because there are times where, I know that is something that can be good if you're deficient in it, but at the same time, going to the root cause of it is so powerful. And, I think that's also something that, hearing from you as a physician, why it's so also important for things like professional athletes, pregnant and nursing mothers, anyone that is sick, I'd really love for you to elaborate on why, Juice Plus is and can be so, so good for those type of individuals.
Yeah.
Daily taking of your fruits and veggies.
Right. Yeah. Well, you can think of it as what they call as a nutritional seatbelt, right? We fasten our seatbelts because we do, and it keeps us safe. And we have this insurance policy when we're in a car. If we're in an accident, the chances of getting hurt are going to be less. And it's the same thing with food. I look at Juice Plus as that seatbelt. You put it on every day, and it kind of helps bridge the gap. But the problem is that we're just not getting enough of the produce in our bodies. And so I believe that because of the level of the quality of the studies and the variety of our studies that look at a reduction in oxidative stress, a reduction in inflammation, multiple studies, improvement in vascularity, the epigenetic studies, healthier skin and gums, better cardiovasculars, the whole list under which all the research falls is there. And so, it's kind of like I talk about the seatbelt, but, I haven't had a cold. And even when I did get COVID, it was like blip on the radar for me. And so, but we have multiple immune studies that show that Juice Plus, it doesn't bolster your immune system. It optimizes your immune system. It allows your B cells and your T cells to talk to each other in an environment that is nutritionally healthy for them. It's not going to rev up your immune system. People are worried about that with autoimmune diseases. No, it just balances. Just think of it as balancing your immune system. So it's great for people who tend to get sick a lot. It's great for people. It's super great for athletes. I mean, I don't know how many people on this call or this Zoom are going to be going to Charlotte, but I'll be presenting on main stage on Saturday. And this whole thing that we've acquired a partnership with the United States Performance Center is huge. So we're getting the visibility worldwide now that I think we needed for the last 15 years, but the opportunity is finally here, and we're excited about it. So athletes need it, like you said, pregnant moms. There was a study, we had a study that unfortunately wasn't publishable because there was a mole on the inside of the study that was contaminating the results. But the study, it was a placebo group and a Juice Plus group in pregnant moms. And the moms who were taking Juice Plus compared to the placebo group, it had incredibly healthy babies. I mean, these kids had APGAR scores through the roof. Their placentas were healthy. The moms had fewer, issues, complications like placenta previa and all those things. The interesting thing was that study, the early results that came out of it, even though it wasn't published, were amazing. And there's been some rumor, and I'll keep it very quiet, but there's another institution that is looking at that particular study and is thinking about taking it and redoing it. So, and it's going to be a great study when it gets published. So hopefully that will come to fruition. But anybody from any walk of life, I mean, senior citizens, 80, 90-year-olds, I know. There's a woman named Hazel Rathbaum. I don't know if you know her, but what is she, like 90 or 88, right? I mean, she's at conferences, she's running, she's kicking it. I mean, she's like, what's her saying, Andrea? I think she said, like, I would rather eat my veggies than become a vegetable. I'd rather eat my vegetables than become a vegetable.
I feel like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So and again, if you look at kids, I wish I'd had this when I was a kid. And that's why I love the Children's Health Study, because like you said, anywhere from the age of 4 up to and through a full-time college student could get Juice Plus for free with an adult sponsor for up to 25 years. Oh my God, if I'd had this when I was a little age group swimmer, the age of 10, I mean, it would have been amazing. So start your kids off healthy, and they will take that nutritional value within the rest of their lives. And that's why I love this company, because our company is really invested in the entire family. And so we're interested in all age groups, all demographics. It's foundational food for everybody.
You're so right. And I love that. I love that it is safe for everyone. You know what? I've heard people say from womb to tomb, right? And it's
Right.
all
That's true. Yeah.
is, and you really hit on something that is so true, that if we would have had this, if I would have had this, I was an athlete, I was a swimmer, I danced,
Mm,
I cheered, but not to mention when I was in school, I actually have a friend on this call right now, and she knows we worked in a veterinary hospital, from the time it was open until emergency surgeries coming in. And I think all the time back in the days where I was like, man, where was this Juice Plus then? Because I was sucking
mm,
down anything that had caffeine or anything
right.
that could hold me afloat, right? So this is so important for everyone. I love that it's good for athletes, for kids, for, geriatric individuals, just every single person. On top of that, also bariatric patients. I've seen it where in bariatric patients, this is giving and fueling these patients the nutrition that they are lacking in the ability of what they can't eat. So it's just
Right.
so, I love that. And
Good.
then finally, I just, the last question that I have for you is, one aspect of this company is the actual community itself, the community and the company that we have. It's unlike any other that I've ever experienced. And, I guess my question is, the mission of the Juice Plus company globally is to inspire healthy living across the world. And so, why would you recommend that to just anyone to join us on this mission and just to be a part of it, something that makes sense to them?
Yeah, and I think that's important. Dr. Du Bois always had this saying. He goes, "We need more boots on the ground to get this message out." And it's true. I, as a physician, I've been lecturing for the company now for almost 18 years, and I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of people I've been in front of, but there are not enough doctors in our company to get this message out. And so we can educate people, but it's joining this company to get to really make a difference in the world. And honestly, if you look at it, especially post-COVID, people are hurting. I mean, this is a real hurting world we live in, and people are looking after COVID and all the controversies, whatever they were, that people want to take care of their own bodies. They don't want to, if there's another pandemic, God forbid, we want to arm our bodies. We know that the studies during COVID were amazing. I mean, there's a slide that I put on my presentation about the fact that when they studied people who had the highest morbidity and mortality during COVID, they had the lowest intake of fruits and veggies. So fruits and veggies has been proven to be beneficial to the immune system, like we talked about with Juice Plus too. So we need more boots on the ground. And again, with inflation killing us left and right, people need extra income. And I think it's great because you can get people healthy, but you can make, you can make a business out of it yourself. And the people that you're making healthy can join your business and do the same thing. And so I've seen this company grow exponentially in that fact, because we've got a whole food product that's backed by research. It is safe, like you said, it's NSF certified, which is completely one of the top certifications for safety and health. But people are looking for that extra money. And, our company is unique in the fact that this company was founded because it has a big heart. And I'll tell you, our conferences, the first few that I came to, 17 years ago, before I started speaking, it was just amazing. People are hugging each other and they're laughing. It's like a complete love fest for 3 days, And I'm thinking, yeah, I kind of like this, it's fun. And our conferences are a blast. Our company's a blast. They support us. We have a new CEO, Travis Garza, who I've had multiple Zoom calls with. And he's amazing, you guys. If you don't know about Travis, he is an amazing man who's plugged into the model that we have in direct sales. He's been doing that for years. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's a goer. So get ready and fasten your seatbelts, because we're launching a Juice Plus 2.0 mission here, and it's coming. So, but again, it's just a fun company to be with. It's a great product, and the research, you can sit back and realize that you don't have to know everything that I know about the science. It's simple. We have the resources, we have pamphlets, we have things to help you out. So you don't have to know what Dr. David Phillips knows. Just know that it's fruits and veggies and capsules with a ton of research. Now 47 studies, you guys, 47 published studies, mostly in peer-reviewed journals. That is unheard of. And so you wear that as a badge of honor, just kind of a sword to go out there and really conquer the world and get people healthy, because they're looking for a solution, especially after COVID. Nobody wants to go through that again. Nobody wants to get sick like they were. And people want a solution for themselves, and we have a great catalyst for that.
Yeah, I agree. Everything that you mentioned is exactly what we felt. Me not coming from this field of like helping more people, really working with animals, it kind of blew my mind because after I watched my mom go through what she did, I just made it a point to say, I want to make sure that people just know how important it is. And ironically, I go back to that time when she was being treated at one of the facilities that has our research, which is MD Anderson. And her neuro-oncologist, I will never forget, brought up Juice Plus. And of course, me, I was in one ear and out the other. And sometimes you just don't know what you don't know. So it's really important to be able to share that. But absolutely, and I appreciate you explaining to all of us here, exactly why you said yes to the company and the products, and why it's so important for you to share it with others. So really quickly, before I open this up for you guys to ask questions, I know I did see some in the chat, so we'll open that up in just a second. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to the person or individual that did invite you to hear Dr. Phillips speak this evening. They'd be more than happy to connect with you about that. Also, if this is something that you're like, hey, I need whatever this is, fruits and veggies in a capsule, it makes sense, talk to them as well. But also, if joining this mission, like he said, more boots on the ground, we're always looking for individuals to link arms with and to share with others how easy and a simple solution really taking your health back into your own hands can truly be. So please reach out to the person that invited you. We'd love to have you ask them those questions. So I'll go ahead. I'll open up the floor. I did see a question here, actually from Hannah Crawford. She says, is the research or data white sheets available on Juice Plus website? Dr. Phillips, I'll let you actually answer these questions if people want to type them in or ask the questions.
Yeah, you can just ask them to me. So if you go to juiceplus.com and there's a tab that says learn. If you go down, it says clinical research. It'll show you the clinical research that has already been done, the 47 studies, and they all have hyperlinks. So in all categories, there's a category for inflammation, a category for oxidative stress, a category for cardiovascular health, athletic performance, and you just hit those. And then you can hit the citation, and it will take you either to the full study or it will take you to the abstract. So you can at least see how the design was set up, the methodology, and then the results. It costs a lot of money to have the actual full study. So some are not there, some are, some of the older ones. But if you navigate to juiceplus.com, you can find those studies. And you can also see the current studies that are coming up, of which, and let me just add into this. So I've been interacting with the researchers, Dr. Manfred Lamprecht, in Europe, and he and I have been discussions. He's going to be with me on main stage in Charlotte. He's our big, if you don't know him, he's our big research guy. And they're really looking ahead for more research. We took our research for granted because we had so much of it. Nobody else could come close to us. But now we're ramping it up to more of a performance side. And so I'm in discussion with them. We're going to be ramping up our research and bringing back the science real heavy, especially you'll see that in Charlotte. So.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Anybody else have any questions? Well, alrighty, everyone. If you do have any questions, again, please feel free to reach out to the individual that did invite you. We can always send that message over to Dr. Phillips. I'm sure he's very busy, but at the same time, we do appreciate you just taking this time to connect with us this evening. And for all of you that decided to join us, thank you for taking out time out of your evening to join us, hear more about why we're so passionate about fruits and veggies and how it can just be good for you. So if there's anything that you've learned from this evening, just know, eat more fruits and veggies. It can be fun. And if you have questions on how to do that, we are here and we're a great resource for you. And we'd love to be able to continue to share that with you. As he was also saying, there is a really great opportunity in October, at the very end of October. If you are around, I know I saw a bunch of you from the East Coast, but also coming from the West Coast. Charlotte, North Carolina, at the end of this month, there will be thousands of individuals coming together to learn more about health and wellness in Charlotte, North Carolina. We'd love to have you join Saturday afternoon. If say you can't do during the week, Saturday afternoon, it is free if you are a guest. And so please talk to somebody that you might know. They'd love to be able to invite you and have you come with us and have fun. Like he said, hug a few necks, laugh a little bit, and learn a little bit as well. So we appreciate everyone this evening. Dr. Phillips, thank you so much. We're so appreciative of you. Thank you for everything that you shared with us. Just truly amazing, and continues to help inspire me as to why I'm so fortunate to be able to be a part of this. So thank you. And we'll see you in Charlotte.
You bet. Thanks, you guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.